Welcome to Build for Health, the show that redefines strength because muscle isn't just for looks. I'm Pete Wright, and I'm here with Coach Srdjan Inyats, and today we're talking about metabolism. Why do I need to think about metabolism in the gym, Srdjan? What's the big deal?
It's very important. People usually complain about the metabolism. They come to me, they're like, "Oh, I'm a little older. My metabolism is slow, and this and that," and they, blame the age and all this stuff. So, yeah, I hear a lot of complaints from people about their metabolism.
Well, I mean, to me, it seems like it's a mystery switch. Right? It's a switch that I feel like sometimes is flipped on, and I can move mountains. I can eat mountains.
Yes.
And sometimes it's just not. And I go into caloric restriction and weight does not come off. Doesn't matter what I do. So I feel like there are things I don't understand about what it's doing and what I'm doing. And I don't, you ask me, is there anything I could do to impact my own metabolism? I would say no, hire a wizard.
And there's a lot of stuff that's impacting your metabolism, the reason why metabolism is that way. And metabolism is highly adaptable to, it depends on your lifestyle. There's so many things that can affect your metabolism. People just don't really know about all those things. And it's an easy fix. It's not really that complicated to fix it, but there are things that people do and they go through not realizing that those are the things that are affecting their metabolism and the reason why they're not burning as much calories and losing weight and things like that.
Okay, so walk me through it. What goes into metabolism? What do I need to know?
So the first to know, the metabolism is what it is. It's the sum of all the chemical processes your body uses to keep you functioning, keep you alive, right? It includes everything from breathing, pumping blood to your repairing tissues, digesting food, building muscle, just producing energy. So when most people talk about that metabolism, they're usually referring to how many calories the body burns like every day, known as a total daily energy expenditure, right? So now this is made up of those four major components. Okay. So the biggest component is your basal metabolic rate, the BMR. Most people know about that. It's the energy your body uses at rest to support those essential functions like your heart, brain, liver, kidneys, right?
Okay.
Now there is a second component. It's TEF. It's thermic effect of food. Now this, people don't know, it's the energy required to digest and process nutrients, to digest all the food that you're eating.
Okay, so far you've just taught us two things, and I've already learned that what I thought I knew was completely wrong. I thought that basal metabolic rate was the food thing, and I didn't know the food thing existed. So basal metabolic rate and thermic effect of food. There's one and two. Yes. What is number three?
Number three is just the activity, the exercises. Those includes your workouts, right? That you do, go to gym, you have a workout plan and stuff like that. And the fourth is the one that we kind of touched on the last time we talked about in the show. It's a NEAT, the non-exercise activity thermogenesis. So those are all the movements that you do outside the gym, beside your workout, like walking.
This is your 10,000 steps. This is your
daily chores and stuff like that. And a lot of people, they say, how there's a lot of misconception that people says, I have a broken metabolism and all that stuff. Now, knowing that metabolism is very adaptable, and it changes based on your body size, the muscle mass, age, hormones, diet, sleep, stress, how much you move, all that stuff.
Well, I mean, it sounds like you say, I say my metabolism is broken, but if I spend 10 hours a day sitting at a desk, that may be a key, maybe a hint, Sherlock, about why my metabolism is broken because of the NEAT.
Yes.
All right.
So we'll kind of dive into all those four major components, and I kind of try to keep it short and simple, but also give more information so people will understand a little bit more. So we'll start with the BMR, the first one. It's the number of calories your body burns, right? Just to keep you alive. So even if you stay in bed all day, and you don't move, your body will still need energy to power your heart, lungs, brain, all those stuff, hormone production, immune system, stuff like that. So for most people, that BMR accounts for about 60 to 75% of total daily calorie expenditure. So making the largest part of your metabolism, the BMR. That's the biggest factors that influence the BMR are body size and the lean muscle mass. So large individuals and people with more muscle generally burn more calories at rest because the muscle tissue requires more energy to maintain than like fat tissue.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
That makes sense. So, and then you have the age, genetics, like hormone levels, and like those long dieting can also affect the BMR, but not nearly as dramatic as many people think. So that's kind of what BMR is and how it works. Because, your organs are working 24/7. That's where most of your energy is being used. Right. So,
right. And there's not a lot you can do to say, kidneys work harder.
Yeah. That's why we always say, like, it's not just important what you do in that 1 hour of your workout. It's what you do during those other 23 hours when you're not at the gym. Those are the important parts, right? But the workouts are also important because they're building the muscle mass. So it's all connected, right? Now we have the second one, the food, the thermic effect of
food.
Yeah, that's the energy your body uses to digest, absorb, and process the nutrients that you eat. So your body has to expend energy to break down the food and turn it into a usable fuel and like building blocks. So protein has the highest thermic effect. It means your body burns more calorie digesting it compared to like fats and carbs.
Okay. So I eat some a good of the numbers. Steak. Okay, good. Numbers are good.
So numbers, like the protein, it's 20 to 30% of calorie consumed. It's used for digesting.
It uses 30% of the calorie to digest that calorie.
Yes. Those calories that you consume with the protein, in that protein, but about 20% of that goes into digestion.
Got it.
Now, carbs are anywhere from 5 to 10%. And the fats are like 3%.
Okay. So that's why they stack up.
Yeah. So this is the reason why those high protein diets can be beneficial for fat loss and the muscle retention. That's why I always say high protein. The people that are losing weight, they're like, well, watch the calories. I'm like, eat the protein, high protein. Yeah. It will help. So that means so your body actually burns calories digesting that food, and the protein is the most metabolically expensive nutrient to process. So eat the protein. I can't stress enough how important it is. Keep that in mind. Now the third. So the third is just the exercise. It's called
exercise activity thermogenesis. Eat, which is ironically not involving food.
Not involving at all. So those are the, include all the structured exercise, weight training, cardio, any sports, your classes that you take, or, workouts that you put together. It improves the cardiovascular fitness that builds muscle, strengthens the bones, and, supports just the mental health as well. So, but yeah, many people are surprised when they learn that exercise often make up just a small portion of that daily calorie burn that they expect. So depending on like a training volume, it may account for around 5 to 15% of the total energy expenditure. So it's not that
small.
Much. It's pretty small. Yeah. People get really surprised by that. I mean, it doesn't mean the exercise is not important. I mean, that's why the resistance training helps you build and preserve the muscle, which increases that resting metabolic rate that we talked about.
Okay.
And, cardio also improves your health, heart health, endurance. So it helps also, exercise helps regulate also the appetite, the insulin sensitivity. So it is important. Just because it doesn't burn all those calories does not mean
it's part of the system that does burn those calories.
Exactly. It will build the system that it does. So they're very important for the health and the body composition. So the fourth one is NEAT, the non-exercise activity terminology and thermogenesis. So those are the movements outside the gym, walking, standing, cleaning, and taking the stairs, carrying the groceries, things like that. And this is often the most underestimated component of the metabolism. That's why we say make sure you get your steps in, 10,000 steps. They don't see why is that so important. They're like, we'll just go to the gym and work out and I'll get there. It's like, no, you got to do, pay attention to those 23 hours. Yeah.
What's the thinking behind that? Like, just set that up for me, because I'm thinking, okay, if I go to the gym and I work out really hard, I'm just saying that because I don't just think this way, not me personally, as you know. I wouldn't want to out myself as someone who thinks this way. But if I go to the gym and I work out really hard, doesn't that make up for the 10 hours that I sat in my chair all day?
No. Well, during that workout, you're breaking down the muscle, you're building the muscle, all that stuff. So it doesn't burn as much calories as you would burn if you just get up and walk and stuff like that. So someone who's on their feet like all day and walking can burn substantially more energy than someone, who sits most of the day or just go for 1 hour at the gym. Your body cares more about what you do in that 23 hours than just that 1 hour.
Okay, that's the thing I want to make sure we wrap our heads around, is that your body, there's a compounding interest that goes into burning calories, right? And if you keep your body up at a certain level of constant activity, even just a little bit, that's going to have a greater effect than the massive roller coaster of, being very active to being completely sedentary to being very active to completely sedentary.
Yeah.
That's a fair way to look at it.
Yeah. That's a fair way to look at it. Exactly. Yeah. All these components, they have different benefits. They do different things.
Yeah.
But they're kind of all connected. Right. So those are the most important components. So people should be aware.
Okay.
Now we can talk about, the sleep, the stress, and the hormones, and they all also play a massive role in the metabolism, like recovery, the body composition, just overall health. So, you can train hard and eat clean, but if you sleep and stress is poor and, your body becomes less efficient metabolically. Sleep is when the body repairs the muscle tissue that you break down at the gym, that regulates the hormones, restores the nervous system, and just improves the recovery. So when people constantly undersleep, which I'm guilty of it sometimes, I'll admit I need to get more sleep, and I try to, the body starts to shift hormonally in the ways that increases the hunger and craving, while decreasing the energy and the performance. So there are like hunger hormones, like ghrelin tend to rise, and like those safety hormones like leptin that can decrease. So those are what we call hunger hormones. Also, insulin sensitivity will worsen. People will naturally crave now higher calories, like sugary food, and because the brain is searching for a quick energy. So people are more likely to grab the sweets and carbs, something with sugar. So you can get that quick energy from.
It does work. It's just fine for quick energy, but at what cost?
Exactly. So that's why make sure you get your sleep. It will affect everything. So people don't realize that they need those 7 to 8 hours of sleep. Probably the best way, but try not to go under 7. Make sure so the body can do its own thing once it's asleep. That's when it's in the repair mode. You're not moving. So, it's important. Now, stress. Uh, Stress kind of affect the metabolism in a very like similar way. So, and a lot of people hear the word cortisol and immediately think it's bad, but cortisol is actually a necessary survival hormone. It
Hmm.
helps regulate the energy, blood sugar alertness, and just the body's stress response. So the
Hmm.
problem is actually chronic stress, where your body stays under constant pressure, like for weeks or months, without any sleep, recovery, or like downtime.
What do you see? Can you just a sidebar on this, right?
Okay.
Because I'm curious at the gym what it looks like when somebody is experiencing chronic stress comes in, right? Can you think about that? Because in my experience, there are people who live in a state of high cortisol all the time, chronic stress, and don't really know it because they've adjusted to it because that's just normal.
But that's where the workout helps. It really does help them with that. It helps them after the workout. They say, "Oh, I feel much better. I'm so glad I came in. I can actually think clearly. Like I feel better." Like it helps with that chronic stress. So, but a lot of people go through it, and that can affect. I mean, the chronic stress increases the emotional eating, the cravings, fatigue, and
Yeah, and
recovery
it totally
issues.
makes you check your own assumptions about what it means for you to be healthy. Those assumptions may end up being false. Like you're making assumptions about why your weight is doing what it's doing, or your sort of cardiovascular system is doing what it's doing. And if you're not in touch with the fact that you're in chronic stress,
it affects everything. Yeah, definitely. I mean, psychologically, the body often doesn't, distinguish much between emotional stress or financial stress, lack of sleep, relationship
yeah,
problem, overthinking, or excessive dieting. Like it's just signals stress. And
right,
over time, it can leave people feeling mentally just drained, inflamed, exhausted, and just
sure,
stuck in that cycle where they're just trying harder, but nothing's happening. It's just recovering worse.
okay,
But so it's the chronic stress that's bad. So now we got hormones. So hormones themselves are kind of deeply connected to metabolism and the fitness. So hormones help regulate the appetite, the energy use, muscle growth, fat storage, recovery, like mood. So, and even like motivation. So insulin helps control blood sugar and nutrient storage. Then you have thyroid hormones strongly influence metabolic rate and energy production. Then you have testosterone that supports muscle mass and recovery. So while hormones like those hunger hormones that we talked about, leptin and
mm-hmm.
ghrelin, uh, helps regulate the hunger and fullness. What's important for people to understand is that hormones are highly influenced by lifestyle habits. So consistent resistance training, adequate protein intake, the quality sleep, the stress management, and maintaining the muscle mass all help support healthier hormonal function.
I mean, when you tell me that leptin and ghrelin influence fullness and hunger, it just makes me say, how do I naturally stimulate the one that makes me not want to eat so much?
Those are if you don't get enough sleep. Those are the ones that
Okay.
get worse, and then one that gets, fullness gets declined, and you feel like you're never full. And then
Yeah.
those are, like we said,
Those are the craving hormones.
yes, those are the craving hormones when you're not getting enough sleep, and then you crave all this sugary stuff, and that gives you that boost of energy that you want. So
Yeah.
if you can get everything under control, it will help that hormonal function. So that's why all that, like extreme dieting, that chronic stress and lack of sleep, poor recovery can push the body in kind of opposite directions.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why the real metabolic health is not just about, burning calories. It's about creating an internal environment where the body can function, recover, regulate itself properly.
let's talk then about specifically, you've already mentioned, the value of resistance training. Can we talk specifically about how each of the major exercise functions hit our metabolism?
Yeah. So usually people are like, well, is it better to do resistance training or cardio? Like, which one would be the better?
Yeah.
And both cardio and resistance trainings are valuable, but they affect the body differently. So cardio is extremely effective for increasing calorie expenditure during the actual workout, like running, cycling, stair climbing, rowing, similar activities like that. They burn a significant amount of calories relatively quickly, which is why many people, kind of do that with the people that are trying to lose fat. And also, cardio, yes, improves cardiovascular health, endurance. Like that's why I do it, like heart function, all this stuff. And the problem is many people rely only on cardio for the weight loss, while kind of forgetting and neglecting that muscle mass and strength training, which can later create the problems in the long term if you don't work on those. So resistance training impacts metabolism differently because its biggest benefits are more like a long-term and structural. So it helps build and preserve that muscle tissue. And muscle is metabolically active tissue, and that requires energy to maintain. So more importantly, the maintaining muscle during the fat loss helps prevent that metabolic slowdown that often happens with the aggressive dieting or excessive cardio that people do.
Right.
So when people lose weight like too quickly without any resistant training or eating enough protein, they often lose that muscle with fat. So that muscle, of course, reduces in strength. It lowers recovery capacity. It just worsens the body composition and just contribute to that lower metabolic rate over time. The metabolism just slows down.
Okay, so I'm starting to put together a picture, but for people like me who are saying, hey, I feel like my metabolism may need to be somehow kickstarted. It feels like I've reached a point of stasis. It sounds like my focus should be first on sleep, making sure that I'm getting the right sleep and enough of it.
Yes. The sleep, like look
and
at the stuff
protein.
That you can, everyone focuses just on the workout itself and like focus on the thing first that you can fix. Workouts, getting in the gym, working out, finding a trainer who can help you with that. That's easy. Just try to focus on sleep, try to focus on managing your stress, right? And that will help a lot. Right. So focus on all these little things like getting your 10,000 steps and moving more, not sitting at your desk for hours and hours, right? Because that can have affect and just your workouts going in. It's not going to solve the problem. So try to focus on those things and try to take control over those things that you can change. You don't need anybody for that.
Yeah.
You can change those. Once you start taking control over that, you're going to actually start feeling right away and seeing the results without even actually going to the gym right away. Your mood is going to be different, the energy level, everything. So you're going to start feeling the results right away. And then gym is just going to add on top of that and make it even that much better. But focus on the small things, take small steps, make small goals, more goals that are realistic. So.
Okay. I got it. I know I'm supposed to come in right now, but I feel like I need a nap. I'm going to start with a nap and then a steak. It's going to be great.
So yeah, but then when it comes to workout, like the best approach for the people is not just choosing cardio or resistance trains, just combination of both strategically.
Be active.
So, cardio supports, your heart health, endurance, calorie expenditure, all that stuff, and resistance training.
I'm really glad we're doing this topic because we had a listener question, and I think it relates. The question came in anonymously. It says, "How do you program around a job that is physically demanding? Does manual labor count as training?" It sounds like from this conversation that labor, like regular activity, is a part of overall metabolic processing, and that's awesome.
Yeah.
But also, if you can find a way into the gym, that'd be good too. What's your stance?
Yes, definitely. It doesn't replace like the whole workout. It's including those 23 hours what you do, when you're not working out. Because workouts are more like intentional, like you're breaking the muscle down and all that stuff. It depends what kind of labor, what kind of job does, I'm sure they're moving a lot, picking up stuff, endurance. It's all more of a muscle endurance and stuff like that. So, which is great. I mean, it's just going to help. But, he's probably burning a lot more calories and he's more hungry. And then if he can just focus on his protein intake and stuff like that, but he should try to find the time to actually do the resistance training, do some cardio. And then that's going to make his job even easier. It's just going to help.
Just gonna help. That's the deal. All right. Super useful. And take a look at those show notes. I'll put as much detail in there as I can discern here, so you have a checklist of some things to look into and how to make some change in your own life and your own body. Don't forget, check out elevatefitnesspdx.com to learn more about the gym, to learn more about Srdjan and the trainers who work there. Awesome, awesome, awesome place. We are so glad you joined us for the show today. If you've got questions about training, recovery, or how to make strength work in your life, we want to hear them. Head to the show notes again. There's a link that says submit a question to the coach, and we'll answer it in an upcoming episode. Don't forget to subscribe and share the show. This is how we grow stronger together. Thanks for listening to Build for Health. We'll see you in the gym next week.